MMA scraps is why most shows tap out then cry. We the ones like 'em now at the end of the bout with our hands to the.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Now, Sean, you've had a lot of success in the UFC. You've recently rebounded with a win over Evan Dunham. It was a little bit of controversy in that for some people. Some people really thought that Evan maybe won that fight, and even as so far as to say that Dana White still had considered Evan Dunham to be undefeated. When you hear something like that, does that bother you, or do you just kind of let it slide off your back?
Yeah, I don't really care. I don't read press. I don't read the media. I don't go on any of those forums or anything like that. So I just shelter myself from what other people think. It really doesn't matter what other people think. I got my hand raised, and 2 out of 3 judges saw me winning the fight. So that's all that matters to me.
Now, I don't know. Did you get to see the fights last night?
Say what?
Did you get to see the fights last night?
No, I didn't watch them.
So Evan Dunham went in there against Melvin Gillard, and Melvin knocked him out in the first round, just under 3 minutes. If you were to have thought beforehand, those two getting in the cage and getting it on, is that how you would have seen it going?
I saw that fight going a couple different directions. I had Evan picked to win that fight.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause I thought Evan was going to be able to implement his game plan. He's a smart fighter. I figured he'd get in there and he would hit him with a double, put him on the ground. That's one of Melvin's. That's been one of his weaknesses in the past was, when a good jiu-jitsu guy gets on top of him, he'll get submitted.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw it going that direction. But I could also see Melvin's fast. He's explosive and he's very dangerous. So especially in that first round, sounds from what I heard, I didn't see it, but just from what I heard, it kind of sounded like Evan was kind of playing with fire and trying to strike with them, and Melvin's too fast and too explosive, and he's too dangerous on the feet, especially in that first round. So it sounded like Evan kind of played into what Melvin wanted him to do and paid the price.
Now, you're in the division that may be one of the most stacked in the world. I actually talked to a couple of 155ers earlier in the show, and forget about just the UFC, but in any real organization, 155 is pretty stacked. Being out for as long as you have, do you feel like your place kind of gets lost, or do you think that the things that you've accomplished so far in the sport should keep your standing where it is until you can get back in there?
Well, I think that, the division is constantly moving, and I need to move forward with it. Otherwise, I will get left behind. That's what happened. I took almost a year and a half off trying to heal myself after I got beat by Frankie.
Mm-hmm.
And when I came back and fought Dunham, I was pretty much forgotten about.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, I'd been gone for a year and a half. Everyone moved on, and they went, they followed the new rising stars in the sport. So that's the name of the game. That's part of the industry. That's how it is in every sport. If you don't move with it, it'll leave you behind. So that's how it is. I don't take it personal. I know how this industry works. I've been around long enough, so I just go with it, I guess.
Now, were you surprised that Frankie Edgar was able to beat BJ Penn twice? You've been in there with both of them. Did you think going into that Frankie would be able to prevail twice?
I had BJ winning the first fight decisively. I didn't think that Frankie stood a chance against them, and I was really surprised to find out that Frankie won. And the second fight, I couldn't have picked it. I thought, after hearing about how that first fight went, and Frankie was able to implement his game plan so well, the same thing he did against me, hit and run, stick and move, evade. He's really good at that, and that's how he was able to beat BJ. The first time, and from the second time, I heard he put it on him a little better. Again, I didn't see the fight, so I can't really give you too much of my opinion because I didn't see it, but just based on what other people were saying. So first time it surprised me, second time it didn't.
Right. There's a lot of stuff going on in the 155-pound division, especially now with the WEC being melded into the UFC. A lot of people really talked about how 155 was going to be a virtual wasteland of cuts, simply because there's just so many fighters fighting for so few positions. Is this something that goes through your mind now that you're going by the time you get back in there, there's a whole nother group of fighters in the UFC?
Yeah, like I said before, everything's always evolving. It's moving forward, and you need to move forward with it. I've been in this industry longer than most of these guys have even heard of mixed martial arts.
Right.
I started fighting back in 1999. You look at all the guys that are fighting now, they probably didn't even know what mixed martial arts was back in 1999.
Right.
So I've been fighting longer than these guys have even known about this industry. So that, I've always evolved with it, and I'm going to continue to evolve with it. I don't see myself getting left behind at any point in time. And I know where my standing is with the UFC, and I've been a part of this organization for a long time, and I don't see myself going anywhere as long as I win fights and I do what I'm supposed to do. I'll always be a mainstay within the organization.
Now, you mentioned in an interview recently that you wanted to be a little bit smarter about returning from injuries, and that's one of the reasons why you're not rushing to get right back in there. Is it because, do you think it's more because of your age that, the older you get, the harder it is to recover, or just generally speaking, it's something that you've come to mature and realize that maybe jumping in there isn't the best thing to do?
I would say both. Obviously I don't recover the way I used to after my injuries, and part two would be that I've gotten a lot smarter. You get smarter the older you get, and I've gotten a lot smarter. I've been there, done that. I've got a lot of experience inside and outside the cage. I've got a lot of experience training healthy and training injured. And unfortunately, the last 5 or 6 years, every single time I fought, I've had a serious injury. Torn shoulders, torn knees, dislocated ribs, dislocated fingers, dislocated toes. I fought with some serious injuries over the years, and I don't think it's worth it anymore. I don't think it's worth it not only to fight injured, because it's dangerous as shit to do that, to not be 100%,
right,
but now you're training injured too. You're training for your 10, 12 weeks or whatever with serious injuries, so you're not able to train as hard as you normally would. So it's dangerous, and I think it's just not worth it to me at this point in time in my career to fight injured. I got a legacy that I've built over the course of the last 11 years, and I worked hard building that legacy, and I'm not going to be one of those guys that destroys my legacy because I want to try to recreate something that I had in the past.
If you